I'm in control.
There are plenty of back exercises out there, but you don't need all of them in your routine. Today we're covering the 5 most indispensable back exercises, and these need to be exercises that have a lot of bang for your buck because your back includes your lats, mid-back muscles, lower back muscles. It's a lot of territory to cover.
Yeah, and let's face it, most of us will want to come in and do all of our anterior chain movements, meaning all of our pushing movements. We sit a lot. We're in that kyphotic position. Training your back is really going to even things out. It's really going to help us out with our posture. It's going to help us out with just the way that we move, overall health, integrity of movement. I'm a huge fan of it. We're just not looking at our backs every day, so I think a lot of us want to shy away from it, but don't.
So let's take a look at these exercises. They're gonna help you really finish out your superhero body. So our first exercise is actually a really old school exercise that is making a little bit of a comeback right now, the dumbbell pullover.
What I love about it is, first off, we've spent all that time working on our vertical pulling and our horizontal pulling. Now I feel like we're really opening up the lats, we're really working on shoulder stability, and I find myself now almost finishing every back workout with this exercise.
Exactly, I love this exercise because we get to work on that top end of shoulder flexion, kind of stretching ourselves out and then pulling as far as we can. It's a really personalized exercise. So what Don's gonna do to set up for this, and there are multiple ways you can do this, but this is our preferred way. There's a lot of bang for your buck here. He's gonna get into this glute bridge position. He's thinking about really squeezing his shoulder blades, his abs are nice and tight, and then all he's doing is extending his arms as far back as he can. Now this is gonna be a little bit personal. Some people are gonna have more range of motion. Some people may not have that lat flexibility, but he gets a really great stretch on his lats as he comes into that back position, as long as he keeps that arm lever long. And then as he pulls forward, we're engaging those lats, but we also get all this great core benefit. And I think the glute bridge position you're in too, Don, has a lot of value because you wind up really having to contract glutes and lats when you're in that position.
A lot of bang for your buck with this exercise here. I mean, you're not only working the lats here, but you're also working that rib cage. You're also working the chest a bit.
Right.
So
yeah.
Overall, just from a mobility standpoint, I think you're just adding so much more into your training. So you will see me throw this in a lot with my lats, but it's not unheard of to see someone throw this in with more of their anterior chain work, which would be more of their chest.
Hitting your total back with that one. So that's our number 5 exercise on this list.
Number 4 on the list is the chest supported row. Eb, there's a reason why I love this so much. If you're struggling to stay in that hinge position because there's so much core involved, this is really eliminating that. So Eb, hop into the chest supported position. Notice how his chest is just gonna be ahead of the back pad. And from there, he's gonna start with a neutral grip, pulling his hands back to his pockets. So if Eb was to pull higher up, he's gonna get more bicep. Because he's pulling back to his pocket, he's getting a little bit more of a sweep in that lat. His spine is perfectly stabilized and he's basically able to load up as heavy as possible. Again, Eb, one of the reasons why I love these posterior chain movements, right? I mean, this is one of the areas that we really have a tendency to overlook. Lats, biceps, and we can load up really heavy. How's that feel?
Yeah, it feels great. It feels great. I think what I really love about it too is because I don't have any of that lower back burden, or I don't have to focus on that, I can focus on getting that really, really good contraction. And we can also start to play with the angles, go a little bit wider, wind up getting a little more mid back in there.
Go a more 45-degree angle, or you can go completely pronated, hands over, and rowing high, getting more upper back. This is pretty much my replacement for when I don't have access to a machine.
Yeah.
But even when I have access to machines, I always find myself going back to this because you have to utilize that stability component. But as we're fatigued throughout the workout, I feel like we can jump on this movement and still maintain that level of intensity without having our form break down.
Great way to get a little bit of extra contraction out of your back. So number 4 on our list.
Give it a shot, guys.
For our third exercise, we're going to the classic 3-point single arm row. We're gonna get a little bit of stretch and sweep so we can really stretch our lats and then pull back. We've still got a lot of stability. Our core gets hit a little bit on this too, and we get a really, really good contraction. The best part is we can go heavy with this.
That's why it's one of my favorite movements. I mean, you know how much I like to go heavy, but I think allowing that protraction, allowing that pull to the hip, working on those anti-rotators, because naturally my back isn't gonna fly open, makes this movement probably one of my favorite all-time back exercises.
All Don's doing to set up, we just get on the bench. He's got one hand down. He's got really good stability on that planted shoulder, and he's trying to get a good stretch on the way down. That stretch is key so you can kind of really get that lat development, so you can make the lat work through the entire range of motion. And then when he pulls up, he gets to squeeze his lat, but we get a little bit of mid-back work in there as well. Your rhomboids are firing, everything's firing, and his core is live too. That's the one thing I think people tend to underestimate with this. His core is live too. All the rotation that you're seeing is occurring at the shoulders. His core and his abs, his lower back is completely stable because his abs are that tight. So there's a lot of good stuff happening in this.
Once I get to my last few reps, if I'm gonna give it a little bit of a hitch, if I have to actually help force a rep or cheat, but we cheat safely, right? This is one of those exercises I feel like I can really try and be ambitious with the load I'm using.
Starting to get heavy, and we got more heavy coming for you next.
Number 2 on our list, the pull-up. I mean, this is the exercise that seems like it's been around for centuries. There's different ways to perform the pull-up. It is a total back exercise. It is hitting upper, mid, and lower lat. It's hitting our biceps. It's helping to improve shoulder function. I mean, it's one of my all-time favorites.
Really important for us to get those rowing motions in, but once we come overhead, suddenly we have that stability challenge. We've got to really get that good scapular squeeze. We've got a scapular depress. You've got all this good stuff happening in terms of smaller muscles that we want to hit with our back. And I think that's why it's such a great exercise.
And if you can't do a pull-up out of the gate, there's so many lateralizations. There's so many ways to be able to be successful at the pull-up. We can add bands. We can have a spotter. We could do negatives, which is going to be the lowering portion of that pull-up. That's going to enable us to get stronger. Even just hanging from the bar can become so beneficial for your lats, your shoulders, and your grip strength.
Yeah, I think a lot of people tend to think the pull-up has to be an overhand motion, and that's great because we do get to kind of break the bar up there, but that's not going to be comfortable for everybody's shoulders. Even me personally, I like going to either a neutral grip, which is going to be a little bit easier on my shoulders, a little less burden to have to break the bar on every single rep, or even a chin-up. The classic chin-up is great and really underestimated too because it does incorporate more of your biceps, but because we have our biceps playing a larger role in there, very often we're able to go heavier on the chin up, and load is really key on these.
And we're putting ourselves into an advantageous position with the shoulders. So if you are in that rounded position, if you feel like you're really struggling to get external rotation out of those shoulders, the pronated or overhand grip might not be great for you, and you're gonna feel a lot more freedom in the shoulders when you're doing your vertical pull if you go to that neutral grip or that supinated grip, which is the chin up.
We get a total body effect when we hit the pull over. And I think that's very different from a lat pull down, which isn't on our list because of that total body benefit. I think that's key to get into too.
When you get really good at the pull up, it's gonna feel like a moving plank. You're gonna keep those ribs down. You might even start dorsiflexing those feet, which means pointing them up. And you're gonna feel this level of tension in the body. It's called tension techniques, where we're just enhancing that pull up, and you're gonna notice a lot more total body strength.
And the king of total back exercises is not an exercise that I feel like gets even noticed as a back exercise. A lot of times we think of it as a hamstring, glute, as a leg exercise, but it's actually the old school barbell deadlift. And for so many reasons, because it does so many things.
In my book, it's the best. I feel like as my deadlift gets stronger and stronger, my back development gets better and better. You know, look at all of some of the best physiques on the planet, and this is something that they had in their programming at some point. The amount of lat stabilization, the amount of core stabilization, how I have to engage my posterior chain to be able to maintain position is incredible.
Well, it's also going to be the exercise where point blank in the gym period, you're never going to lift more weight than you can on a deadlift. And getting all that in on some level is going to stimulate your back, even if you don't think so. So let's show them how it's done.
I'm going to go grab the bar, and I'm literally going to try and feel like I'm breaking that bar apart. So I'm literally trying to bend the bar. Right? So I'm bending that bar, I'm getting that lat engagement, which is gonna flatten out my spine. And from that point, it's just standing up. I'm dragging that bar down my thighs, down my shins, into that position where I have complete tension.
And all that Don was just talking about in terms of having to maintain that flat back, all of that is your back muscles essentially having to contract isometrically. So his mid back, his rhomboid muscles are on fire, lats are on fire, all those tiny back stabilizing muscles are on fire. And then of course you get all this lower back benefit too. And that's why this is such a great total back exercise. I think the other thing that's left out too is we forget that the function of our lats and what we wind up hitting on the row is this idea of driving upper arms behind our torso. And that is essentially the same tension that you're creating every single rep as you stand up and essentially try to pull that bar back. So that's so much really good back work.
So much in my back, so much in my core.
Yeah.
It's the reason why I don't have to sit there and beat my abs up for countless hours a week, which allows my hips to stay looser and allows me to focus on movements like this, which have more bang for their buck.
So those are our top 5 moves for training your entire back. Let us know what you think in the comments. Did we leave anything out? We don't think we did, so of course we didn't.
Thanks, guys.